Hi, Laurel. Nice to see you again.
Hey Vanessa, good to see you too.
All right, I'm just excited to embark on my fourth conversation with you, Miss Laurel Lindsay, the founder and CEO of the New Media Marketing Group. The last couple of weeks, we've talked about the service that your company provides. We've talked about how social media is changing the marketing landscape for any kind of business owner or person willing to promote or sell product. And basically about the book that you've recently published this past year, addressing how a new business owner or a layperson can utilize social media to their advantage. You've had a lot of success in this industry. You are growing, you are talking, you're very in demand. And what I kind of become fascinated with on a human level is basically about your journey that got you to this particular place in your life. Being a woman and being an entrepreneur and being a CEO of a company that is having to adapt and be flexible in an age of like rampant technological advances, it can take a lot to stay on the cutting edge. So I just wanted to talk a little bit about your entrepreneurial journey from worker bee to queen bee, if you will. So how did that develop for you? Where did you start off in your career, and at what point did you say to yourself, you know what, this whole 9 to 5 thing, being stuck somewhere, is not for me anymore. I think I'm gonna put my boss lady pants on.
Wow, okay, lots of good questions. So I definitely had a turning point in my sort of career. I was working at a large telecommunications company. I'd been there for about 3 years. I was selling internet services, and that's where I got my technical foundation. And my background previously to that was in sales. I really enjoy the sales process and talking to people and stuff. But there was a lot of changes happening in the company, and I found that the service wasn't really all that great. Like what I was actually selling, customers were having lots of problems with, and I felt so powerless to be able to help them. And then there was financial ramifications to sort of what was happening internally in the company was affecting me because they couldn't deliver what I was selling. I was getting financially impacted, and as a salesperson earning commission, I was a little bit frustrated by that. So after 3.5 years there, I just had this one day where I was like, I need to get out of here. Like I just couldn't do it anymore. I just did not believe in what I was selling anymore. I felt like I just felt really icky about trying to promote something that I felt I didn't believe in anymore. And I was fed up with the red tape. I was fed up with how the customers were being treated, and I was fed up with how I was being treated as well. So at that point, I started to look for other opportunities, and I found myself in a small media company working contract sales, and that's when I started selling websites. And I just found the shift to a smaller atmosphere and a place where I had a little bit more control over the customer experience was definitely a lot more up my alley. And it was fun because I got to learn all kinds of new technology that they didn't know about before.
Wow.
So that was kind of the start into selling more media related products. And I was there for about 3 years, and we were basically just doing those sort of brochure websites, like home, about us, contact services kind of pages, really cute. And from there, from sales, we sold so much that we had to then, fulfill the product. So I ended up being a project manager, and that's how I learned how actually a website gets built. And then from there, I decided to branch out on my own. There was 4 owners at the original company, and things got a little hairy with that many people. And so the company sort of broke down, and I just went out on my own after that. And then in terms of keeping up with technology, it's been hard. It's been really hard. So I went along and I was still sort of selling those brochure websites, and then I had a couple customers ask me, like, how do I get on page 1 of Google? And I was like, I don't know. And then they started going to my competitors, and I was like, shit, I guess I better figure this out, So at that point, I just spent literally 3-4 hours a day reading about it and trying to figure out, okay, what works, what doesn't. Really listening and really experimenting with my own business to figure out if everything I was reading about was actually effective. So I test drive everything on my own company, and if it worked, then I was like, okay, I've got this tactic, this works. Yeah. And then it was a very similar experience with social media as well. Just realizing that this wasn't going to go away, and I better get my butt in gear and learn about it. And it's just very, very much trial and error for me anyways. That's how I learn. It could come with instructions, and I wouldn't read them. I have to just go out and fail hard a lot. That's how I learn, unfortunately.
I'm totally the same way. I think, when you have that practical application, skills sort of resonate with you a little bit longer too. As us making that shift, going from 4 owners to being the sole owner, how did you have any trepidation about that at all? Like, were there any kind of obstacles that you encountered initially during that process? or was it a relatively smooth transition?
I'll fully admit it. I was terrified. I was absolutely terrified. I was like 26. I just felt like there was nothing else that I could really do. I mean, I knew this technology, I knew the marketplace, I knew what I offered was valuable, and I knew how to do the websites and stuff like that. But basically, I started off with like a briefcase full of files and a laptop. And I just, and I started looking for office space in Calgary at the time, and the costs were prohibitive. And I thought, why would I commute? And why would I ask everybody on my team to commute when we could just do this from home? Like, this is the internet, And I started working from home, and the challenges there were not so much around running the business, but around like separating work life and personal life. And I found difficulty actually starting to like leave the house because it's cold in Calgary, winter comes, I had groceries, I was like, why would I leave, And it would go like a week, and I was like, okay, this isn't healthy. That led to my decision to get a dog, because you have to take the dog outside, otherwise it's cruel, right? So that was a big challenge for me. Certainly missing out on sort of the social aspect of like going into an office every day was challenging as well, but I just had to get some hobbies and start joining groups. Like I just did hula hooping lessons. Yeah, just to get me out and meeting people and talking and trying new things. And by the end of it, I wasn't quite as clumsy, which was fun.
Yeah.
But yeah, you have to get creative with it, and not everyone can do it too. Like some people go absolutely batshit. I've had not a lot, but I've had some people work for me that after a while they're like, you know what, I can't do this, I have to go back to the office type thing. But for me, it's been really freeing because I started off in my sort of home in Calgary, and then I tried working from Kelowna during the summers because it was nice there, and that seemed to work fine. And then I would go home to visit my family in Ontario, and that seemed to work fine. And I realized that I wasn't actually seeing my customers face-to-face really all that often. And then I started spending more time in BC. I tried, I think it was last year, I did 3.5 weeks down in Mexico to see if that would work, and that worked no problem. And so basically I'm locationally independent. Of course, I do see my clients face-to-face on the regular because it's important. But in terms of where I'm doing my day-to-day stuff, it can be anywhere, which is awesome. I love that.
That's so freeing. It really is, I think, the future, which is exciting prospect. If you do find ways to discipline yourself, like you're saying, and diversify, hula hooping is going to be a good party trick eventually down the road. I just wanted to ask you too as well. Do you have any? I mean, as an entrepreneur, as a female entrepreneur as well, like, do you have any advice for anyone who might have that inkling that you had, where they're working in a construct where they are building these relationships with people, they feel they're not fulfilling them, and therefore they're feeling a little bit unfulfilled, but have the kind of knowledge base to be able to ascend and have the drive to do so? Was there anything, if you were to put it in kind of like nice little philosophical package that you would give those people in that kind of situation?
Yeah, I think there's a couple things. There's sort of the philosophical, and then there's the tactical and practical. From a philosophical perspective, it's really important to know why you're doing what you're doing, because hard times are going to come, and they're going to come a lot. And I think there's some stat floating out around there somewhere that says like 90% of businesses fail, and I'm not surprised that it's about that, because it's hard. It's really, really hard. And so if you don't really know why you're doing what you're doing, and it's not about money, but like what gets you out of bed every day. And if you can't go back to that every day and use that as motivation to get over the things that are hard, then you won't be able to make it. And so that's something that I've used time and time again, even years down the road where I don't have as much motivation as maybe I might like, or things like that. I just really go back to like, why am I doing this? Why is it important to the world? And why is it important for me to continue to offer this sets of services? And for me, it's like, my why is I believe that I'm empowering and uplifting business owners to live the business of their life, right? And to free them from this whole technical stuff that they don't necessarily are interested in or good at. That's important. And I believe that entrepreneurship is a force for good in the world. Like, as an entrepreneur, you are sort of sovereign economically, and you can affect your team, you can affect your family, you can affect your own life, you can affect your customer's life, and it's a ripple effect, and you can have a really good impact on the world. So I believe it's really important to support that. So that's my why, and that's helped me when it's like times where I'm just like, man, I'm not getting out of bed, So philosophical, absolutely have to stay connected to your why. In terms of practical and tactical, I joined a coaching organization a couple of years back, and that's really given me some of the things that I was missing. So I was missing a sense of community, I was missing a sense of accountability, and I was missing structure. So when you work in an organization that's sort of given to you through your bosses, and they've already got all those processes sorted out, And in that coaching organization, I've been able to sort of commiserate with other business owners, find out that no, I'm not alone. There's struggles that I'm having, other people are having, and just sort of connect with community that I am missing out on by not working physically with other people. In terms of accountability, I have an accountability buddy through that coaching organization. We talk on the phone once a week, and that just keeps me on track working on my business instead of in it. Mm-hmm. And the structure is fantastic in terms of like helping me make sure that I'm addressing my priorities in terms of like work-life balance, making sure my finances are good, all those things. And I think just knowing that it takes a village to raise a business, I think. And so reaching out and trying to get that help and get that structure and accountability is really helpful. And that can, just because you can't really do it all on your own. I mean, sure, it's my business and stuff like that, but my team members help me so much. Like I could not do anything without them. Mm-hmm. My coaching organization helps me so much. My fiance helps me so much. My family, like my mom's lent me so much money. Right? So it's like love money to help get this thing going, right? Because it's not always profitable in the beginning, and you need to prepare for that. So in terms of being a female, I think that it's probably the hardest thing that I've experienced that I don't think necessarily males do to the same extent is really being very, I guess, like too nice, if that makes sense. Mm-hmm. And maybe not charging what you're worth, or maybe letting things slide that you shouldn't let slide in terms of like customer behavior, or charging, what you're supposed to be charging, or letting maybe other colleagues that you're working with or whatever not fulfill what they're supposed to be fulfilling, and taking responsibility for other people's emotions. Like that could just be me as well, but I found that was a little bit difficult. And also being taken seriously, frankly, in the beginning was hard. Mm-hmm. I actually had people ask me, do your parents know you're doing this? And I was like, did you just say that?
Really?
Yeah.
That's so ridiculous.
It is. And in certain industries, it's an old boys club, and I learned that the hard way type mm-hmm. thing. It's about who you know and those types of things. So I think that being female, it is harder. Mm-hmm. But yeah, again, sticking with a bunch of gals who are in business for themselves too, and commiserating over, drinks one night or whatever is, it absolutely helps clear the air, and just know, I'm not alone. And tips for coping with it, right? Because there's like sexual harassment, there's all these types of things that go on, and it's tricky to deal with those things and still come across as a professional. So it's a minefield out there.
But you got to do it with a smile and kind of take it as it comes, like you say. Adapt or die, right?
Absolutely.
And that's just such an incredible testament too. I think one of the most obvious things that I've procured from our conversations and getting to know you a little bit is the level of like resourcefulness and adaptive sort of nature that you have. I think is so quintessential to being able to take challenges and turn them into opportunities. And it seems that all along the way you've seen where there have been challenges, and as opposed to, running away from them, you have transformed them into something that serves you ultimately. And I think that that's an incredible testament to who you are as not only a CEO and a businesswoman, but also as a person,
Thanks. Yeah, it definitely takes tenacity for sure. You just got to hold on for dear life sometimes.
Yeah, and find the humor in things.
Yeah, exactly. You find out.
All right, Laurel, it's been an absolute pleasure. Thank you once again for talking to me and giving me a little bit more insight. Oh, actually, I just have one more question. New Media Marketing Group, goals, future. Where are we going with this? What is development? Any development goals that you have?
Sure. Okay, great. Well, I always have lots of plans in the pipe, but basically we sort of look at ourselves as ambassadors of technology. So helping our customers use that as leverage to get to where they're going in their businesses. So what we're looking for in the upcoming years is to attract a lot more team members and clients that share the same values as we do. So right now we service Western Canada, so BC and Alberta, which is great. We've got clients down in the States and those types of things. But basically what we're looking for is just to refine our business in terms of our culture, make sure that the culture is really visible through every interaction with the business, and attracting more team members that are just like fantastic, like yourself. And we're bringing in mobile marketing services, and just looking, for me personally, my biggest goal this next year is to really empower the team to be able to help their customers more and to run the business a little bit more without me. So I can work on another book.
On the iPhone. Such a good tip, like usual. All right, well, thank you again, and we will talk to you soon. And have a happy holiday.
Happy holidays. Thanks, Vanessa.
Bye.
Bye.